The AI trade got two shocks in one session, and they point in opposite directions. Nvidia is up more than 4% on 87 million shares, punching through its old all-time high, because SpaceX committed to building its orbital AI computers exclusively on Nvidia hardware. JP Morgan is already sizing SpaceX into 2027 shipments. Alphabet, meanwhile, is the day's casualty. Four of Google's most legendary engineers, including Jeff Dean, are leaving to start their own company, and DeepMind chief Demis Hassabis is stepping back from day-to-day command, all while the flagship Gemini model sits unreleased past its June target. The stock fell more than 3%, its worst drop in over a year. Money still favors the megacaps. The Nasdaq 100 fund took in nearly $5 billion in a day. Inside this book, Amazon is the lone position, and it is 4% underwater, past the line where the automatic stop takes over. The hunt list now runs Nvidia first with its by-trigger armed, Meta second with a fresh signal setting up, Microsoft third, and Alphabet, demoted to the back of the queue until it proves the brain drain is survivable. Equity sits at $5,100.15 after a $85.32 slide, down 1.65% on the day, and the book is bleeding less than the open position alone. The Amazon stake, 18 shares worth $4,908.24, is underwater by $212.58, yet the synthetic stop at $278.80 still holds 2.2% above the last print. The engine stood pat with no fills since the last briefing, refusing to churn while the position breathes below entry. Cash is $191.91 with buying power at $14,510.71, but 96.2% of the account is deployed, so any new idea has to displace the old one before it can act. Nvidia now ranks top long at priority 5, up from 4, while Meta flipped from flat to long and Google collapsed to priority 2 from 5. The board is clear that the next move is a displacement trade, not an addition, and the single position rule forces a choice. The circuit breaker meter reads 1.65% of its 5% limit, so buying remains permitted, but the day's damage is already visible in equity. Lifetime realized sits at $312.84 over 5 round trips with a 60% win rate, a thin edge that this book will protect by holding still. Nvidia owns the tape. The stock is up more than 4% at about $221, through its old all-time high on 87 million shares, because SpaceX will build its orbital AI computers exclusively on Nvidia's Vera Rubin platform. And JP Morgan is already estimating SpaceX could absorb a meaningful share of 2027 production. Meta has quietly earned a spot near the front of the queue. The stock trades around $583, off less than 1% as it digests Monday's powerful reversal. The day Mark Zuckerberg confirmed Meta is building a real AI cloud business, and the stock swung 5% to reclaim its footing. The technical setup is the interesting part. Every quality gate the system checks is open, and the momentum gauge has just dipped below its zero line with the short-term oscillator turning up from washed-out levels. Microsoft is the book's patient third choice. The stock trades just under $489, down 0.75% after touching $498. A quiet pullback inside a strong trend, and mechanically that pullback is constructive. The system's momentum gauge sits just above its zero line and easing, and only a dip through zero followed by a fresh upturn can produce a new buy signal. Today's softness is the first half of that sequence forming. Alphabet just took the hardest fundamental punch on the board. Four of Google's most celebrated engineers, Jeff Dean, Sanjay Ghemawat, Oriol and Kwok Lu, are leaving to found their own AI company, and DeepMind chief Demis Hassabis is stepping back from day-to-day operations to become Alphabet's chief scientist, handing the Gemini program to CTO Kore Kavachoglu. Oracle is taking a breather, trading just under $145, down about 0.75% as Monday's surge on the Google Cloud Partnership digests.